what have we come to this reality to do? This world can be magical, and it's a it's a shame that for periods of our lives we can be distracted from this magic, and we can almost get wound up within this kind of drama which unfolds within our lives. Now the thing is that drama will always unfold within our lives, but it's almost when we activate a certain thing inside of us, we no longer contribute to this drama, and we almost are drawn towards a focus or a point of attention within us that just knows the truth. And it's that truth that we ultimately want to work with, because within every single one of us, we all have the ability to connect with truth. And we also all have the ability to connect with drama and distraction. And a lot of the time, until we can come back within this almost knowing within ourselves, this truth within ourselves, we are ultimately distracted from this existence within ourselves, because this reality is definitely promoting distraction and ultimately destruction, because through distraction comes destruction if we aren't grounded within this kind of knowing of what is true and what is destruction. And the true magic is truly knowing that there is no negativity, there is no, everything is simply being, and we are the construct, we are the perception of this being. So if we want to perceive existence as a certain way, we will perceive that existence in a certain way. And that's the true magic of being in control of our perception, because if we don't perceive something in a certain way, it won't exist. It doesn't exist within our existence. And that's why, everything is in essence a vibration, a frequency. And depending on how we perceive a certain existence is ultimately the calculation of what we will resonate with when experiencing that experience. So if we don't have the ability to raise above an experience, then that experience has a potentiality to ultimately suppress our energetic being, because depending on what experience, what vibration that experience, it's very heavy, very, very, dense vibration, very low vibration, and we can't raise above it. We can't see from a different perspective. We can't be able to ultimately accept that experience, because it all comes down to acceptance. Because when we're able to accept a frequency, an existence, we can literally not let it attach onto us, because we accept it for what it is, and we can understand exactly what's happening, what we're experiencing, because it's almost the fact that we have a very strong connection to ourselves, and we can understand who we are and why we are, what we're doing, and any experience that comes into our lives, we are understanding that it is an experience. And that's the difference. That's where a lot of us get almost lost or suppressed, is that We can't identify that it's just an experience. What we tend to do is we tend to start to attach onto it, or it attaches onto us, and then we start identifying as the experience. We start to let this experience identify as our existence. And as soon as we are in that kind of mentality mindset, we become that experience. We become the frequency, the energetic fabric of that existence, of that experience. So it's almost like we become this existence. We become, as we referred to it before, the representation of a past experience, or even a present experience that we're doing our best to move with, to understand, accept. And I think it's very interesting stuff, because a lot of the time in this reality, we are experiencing this reality and doing our best to move forward and grow within the simplicity of being. And I think it's not all easy a lot of the time. A lot of the time we're constantly doing our best to be happy. We're doing our best to try and find this growth, but a lot of the time that the experiences which we have experienced or currently experiencing are they're just like constantly, harassing our mindset, our mental, our consciousness. These experiences are just, a lot of the time, they're dictating our consciousness, what we think, how we react, how we should react. And this mind construct is all built from experiences, past experiences in our lives have led us to learn to react to certain current experiences or future experiences in a certain way. And this is where this kind of reoccurring loop comes into play, because unless we can change our mindset, we are simply on a program, we're simply on a relay, a setting, an auto response setting. So when experiences come into our lives, we react in a certain way, which will cause a certain amount of reactions. And then if we're not changing our existence, if we're not changing our ways, there will be a loop. There's literally a loop. We're reacting, we're creating reactions, and those reactions are drawing new, very similar experiences in our lives, because we're still manifesting the same things. And then we're reacting in the same way to those new experiences, or, patterns, which are most likely fairly similar, because we're ingrained in routines which are manifesting very similar experiences. We're reacting to those new experiences in certain ways, which are then creating very similar reactions. It's a program. It's literally a formula, and we are the manifestations of that formula. We are manifesting the formula. And if our mind is basically in a dictatorship from manipulation. In essence, it is manipulation. We're manipulated to an extent through the governing forces of this reality. As long as we almost stay a slave to this force, we won't be able to truly understand what is happening within this reality. And it really does come back to understanding the very basic truth, which is there is no negativity. A lot of us, we lose our power within perceiving our reality as negative. And that's where ultimately we manifest fear, worry, stress, anxiety, anger, frustration. As soon as we manifest into this frequency, we have all ultimately submitted our power. We basically surrendered to this external force outside of ourselves. And this is where we really need to focus our attention on, because we must understand that even if our reality is not what we would like it to be, this is not negative. This is ultimately the gift of of life itself, is because we can move forward within the knowing that we have the power to see the big picture. This is the big picture, to see the truth of a different perspective. And that's the power in itself, is to be able to see the truth within a different perspective. Acknowledgement. Being able to just see, okay, maybe this life could be something else. Maybe in this moment, there's something that I need to learn. This is power. This is true power, because when we can take the essence of the truth within this thing which is trying to tell me something, we ultimately activate within the truth of that existence. And when we activate and acknowledge the truth, we do connect to that power. And then when we start to make more decisions within that truth, we will start to see our life manifesting into a different experience, into a different perspective. And that's the true power. Because the thing is, when we lose our power, is that we understand that this life is not what we wanted it to be, or not what we perceive it could be. And then what we do is we don't do anything. We basically blossom the misery of the vibration of the frequency which we are in this moment. We just continue to manifest and blossom this kind of negative vibration of our current state of mind. And it goes nowhere. It just continues, as we spoke about before, into this reaction, this kind of experience, action, reaction, experience, reaction. It's just a circuit. It doesn't go anywhere, and it just continues to this manifest and blossom this kind of negative vibration of existence. And that's the thing, is that there is no negativity. It's all just a trap of perception, because that existence, that negative vibration experience reality, is only an imagination. It's only imagining through its own creation and manipulation. It doesn't exist if we are able to truly understand that it doesn't exist. It's just a manifestation within energy of perception. And we as individuals, we have the power to perceive anything. We have the power, our true source power, our true source within ourselves has the power and ability to perceive and manifest to infinite form. So if we want to be the manifestation of negativity, negativity is a perception. If we want to perceive a reality and create an existence of that force, well, then that force will ultimately do its best to become our existence and create itself within our existence, within our ability to become anything. That force will come into our lives, manipulate our lives to make its existence through our existence, so it can manifest a reality of form, and it will do its best to do that unless we ultimately realize that it's not who I am. It's not my that essence of control, manipulation is not me. It's not the purity within myself. All it is just ultimately a construct of manipulation, and it's not I'm not going to allow it to manifest its existence through me, because that's ultimately what's going on here in this reality, is that there's a lot of manipulation, and the true source within ourselves knows and understands that we do have the power to live a life of purity, live a life of sincere bliss and acknowledgement that this life itself is a gift. It's a gift through one's true knowledge that we are here in this moment, and we are experiencing this moment, and all the truth that all we need will always be within ourselves. And that's the simplicity of existence, is just truly knowing that all we need in this lifetime is just to come back to oneself and understand that all the truth is within ourselves. There's nothing to do here. We can treat this reality as just a dance, a continuous dance of learning to be grateful. Everything that comes into our lives, we can be grateful for. We can treat it as a gift. We can treat it as a blessing, as this reality which we're experiencing is only a manifestation of our consciousness. And when we continue to shift and understand this, we continue to blossom new magic into our lives and new ways to deepen our awareness within our true acknowledgement of oneself.